For more than 100 years, global motorcycle racing has been a restricted circle. The podiums are almost exclusively occupied by a handful of legacy brands with deep roots in Europe and Japan. At the top of that hierarchy is Ducati. Their lead rider, Nicolo Bulega, currently holds an unbroken winning streak, taking all 6 of the first races in the 2026 season. To stay at this level, manufacturers like Kawasaki are investing in technologies that seem like science fiction, including the development of hydrogen-powered engine prototypes. This is a sport built on decades of technical data and massive research budgets. For a new manufacturer, the mathematical probability of a successful entry is effectively 0. But on March 28, 2026, the script changed at the Algarve International Circuit in Portimão, Portugal. During the World Supersport Round, an unknown machine, the ZX Moto 820 RRS, began moving through the pack with a level of speed the established teams couldn't match.
French rider Valentin Debise didn't just win the race, he crossed the finish line without a single competitor even visible in the frame behind him. First and second place are usually separated by fractions of a second. In Portimão, ZX Moto's winning gap was 3.685 seconds. That margin is staggering when you consider company age. The legacy brands have raced for a century. ZX Moto has existed for 2 years. A 2-year-old startup just outpaced the most storied names in the industry. To see how, we have to look at the man who built it. The story begins in the 1990s in a rural village in Huaihua, China. Zhang Shui grew up here in a small house with a leaking roof, years before he would ever see a motorcycle. At 14, he saw a bike for the first time and immediately dropped out of school. He traded his textbooks for a job in a repair shop, spending his nights learning how engines actually work. In 2006, the 19-year-old Zhang begged a local TV crew to film his riding stunts. When they initially refused and drove away, he rode 100 kilometers through a rainstorm just to find them and convince them to give him 1 hour on camera. That broadcast launched a brief racing career, but financial barriers and physical injuries eventually forced him to stop riding professionally. Zhang realized that if he couldn't win as a rider, he would have to win by building the machines themselves. In 2013, he moved to Chongqing, the center of Chinese motorcycle manufacturing, with only a few thousand yuan to his name. He co-founded Cove Moto and scaled the business from 800 units a year to 30,000, proving he could manage large-scale production. He then entered a Chinese team into the Dakar Rally, one of the most difficult endurance races in the world, and successfully brought his bikes to the finish line. In 2024, he walked away from that success to found ZX Moto, putting his own name on a brand new project with a single focus: global racing performance. He funneled $10 million of investment directly into a single research and development node, prioritizing speed over everything else. That investment produced the 500RR within a year, followed by the 820 RRRS, the bike that would eventually reach the Portuguese grid. The 3.6-second lead in Portimão wasn't an accident. It was the result of a 20-year obsession and a very specific allocation of capital. Back in 2026, Valentin Debise stood on the podium in Portugal, holding the Chinese flag over the world's most established racing brands. Thousands of miles away in Chongqing, Zhang Shui watched the live feed and wept as he saw his 20-year goal achieved on the screen. For decades, the industry viewed Chinese manufacturing as a source for commuter scooters and budget parts. ZX Moto's performance has forced a shift in that perception, demonstrating that high-end engineering is no longer the exclusive domain of the legacy brands. In a sport where every millisecond is a struggle, major factory teams are facing a competitor that can match their engineering on raw performance. Zhang Shui summarized his journey with a simple philosophy: when you do something not for the outcome, but because you love it, maybe the result really does turn out different. The established names in racing are now competing against a childhood obsession that has finally found its way to the top of the podium.